Hey guys, what's going on, friends, family? My name's Skylent, and normally on this channel I do hype videos on upcoming games. I normally talk about, I'll do videos like pre-impressions, right? And I'll talk about trailers, and we'll talk about some news here and there, but I'm not really like a news channel like Force Strategy Gaming, or there's a few others that really just specifically cover something like MMOs, right? And man, I've been talking a lot about MMOs lately. I think this year we just got a lot of hype and a lot of hype culture around it, and at the same time we have a history of toxicity and tragedy befalling us every step of the way. So we have just a lot of people talking about this genre, and yet we have had a few rare successes that were almost unimagined, such as classic WoW coming out, old school RuneScape coming to mobile, and you know there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the East that hopefully will come to the West. It's just there's buzz around MMOs, but is there actually any like true merit to the whole genre being talked about so fucking much? That's kind of what this video is about here. This is almost like my nail in the coffin here, so I can just kind of move the hell on. Basically, a lot of people right now are talking about New World and a couple, well, I could just mention a lot of Eastern MMO that we don't know if they will come or not, and they might look cool. They kind of, might be pretty, but I'm looking at a lot of these trailers and I look at the gameplay, and I'm starting to see sort of the cracks in the image. Like a lot of the gameplay, like people will be like, oh my god, this game looks so good. But if you really look at it, and maybe it's just because I have so much experience playing so many different games, but if you really look at it, it shows a lot of very, very bad things. And I know I'm not literally playing the game, but guys, it's just like I have played so many games. I have been there, I have done that. And it's not just MMO either. So I can kind of assume how things might feel, might play. And I'm starting to see some issues with a lot of these games, but a lot of people are just still like, hey, I'm going to regurgitate what the website's telling me to tell you, and it just doesn't feel that good. I'm not really feeling that. But in defense of a lot of these news YouTubers, I mean, that's what they're doing, is they're just giving the news. This is what the game is promising to do. But here's my main issue. Even if I think the game will be bad, or they're, maybe a little bit inaccurate with what they're saying they're going to be, the thing is what they say they are going to be, that is putting a lot of trust in games when we've already seen many games change radically, such as Crowfall has changed dramatically. And then what's going on with Camelot Unchained? You know what I'm saying? And then even Star Citizen, which is making progress, it's just they also keep moving the goalposts and keep doing all this weird stuff. So those are Kickstarter games, of course, obviously, but games as a service are all in development, always. Even after they release, they say they're going to do this and that, and then they don't, or they change it up. So right now, New World, I remember doing, and this is why I'm mad, is I remember doing videos, and I flew out, played New World, did some videos, that was it. I had NDA, couldn't talk too much about it. But a lot of people loved like speculating what it's going to be like, and MMOs are fun to fantasize about. It's pretty an epic fantasy. But New World has just recently switched up the game. So a lot of the things that I was really hyped about, and the reason why I enjoyed my time playing the game, was the hardcore PvP. And it's a big reason why people play games like Ark and Rust. And those are the kind of people that really want to play a game like this, but I guess they're trying to go for a different crowd. They might even be making a totally different game. All I know is that the community that normally would want to play like a hardcore sandbox PvP MMO felt betrayed by that change. And yet I was somebody who did videos talking about, oh man, I can't wait for, this hardcore PvP sandbox MMO to come out. And then now it's not even a hardcore sandbox MMO, and it's becoming less sandbox and more PvE. And actually, I'm going to say, I think it's going in a good direction, but I'm just saying is that it's going in a different direction. And a lot of these YouTubers are, and obviously like the press in general, and also the promotional material, the advertising from the companies themselves, the publishing, all that, it just feels so bullshit. Like, what's the point now? It's fun to speculate, I guess, but it's just like people are so dry. The content is so dry. It's so boring to watch. And I honestly just don't trust anything coming out of anybody's mouth ever. I just don't. Even though I literally played New World, I wasn't about to make a million videos, just bullet point listing all the little mechanics of the game. Like, oh guys, you can craft. There are tiers to the crafting. Look at this. You can craft whatever you want with the severe limitations of the video game. That's what people do, is like, this game has 5 classes. You can be a warrior. You can be a priest. Neat. And it's just, what does that even mean, you know? A lot of this is just so fluff and aesthetics or just a theme. And what is the gameplay? What is the real actual gameplay loop? What are the updates going to be like? What's the competitive scene going to be like? You know, are we going to have endgame rating? You know, are you going to actually promote a PvP arena scene? What the hell is really going on? And nobody talks about that shit. Nobody mentions that because what the hell are MMOs even? It's like people who are just kind of blind to MMOs, who just play MMOs. It's like, it doesn't matter to them. You know, they just want a game to pal around with their friends, and that's cool. You know, I'm somebody, Toontown, that's neat. Even RuneScape I play very casually or whatever. I've won and done it. That's fine. But those games are like designed around a certain gameplay loop, and they're very obvious and known for it. And then these other games coming out, they just spam features. You know, they just spam features, or they show quick little trailers or whatever, and all you have, you're just left to your imagination. And then you have these videos that just constantly regurgitate the news of like, oh man, you know, there's this new stuff. Look at this new stuff. New stuff, right? And well, not only is the video just generally boring, but I just think it's just so unreal. It's just so not the reality of this particular genre. And why do I talk about it so much? Because I feel like there's so much disinformation about it. Like I think WildStar was a great example. WildStar did these trailers that's like, hey, we're doing battlegrounds. Hey, we're doing dungeons. Hey, we're doing player housing. We're doing all this stuff. And the trailers were, I think, well done, a little cheesy. Kind of the humor maybe didn't land. It was slappy. But overall, good production, good trailers. Everyone was led to believe this game would be such an epic game. And in the end, it was really a fragmented game. So that's kind of a big issue that I see with a lot of these games. And, you know, you can list all these features or you can say certain things, but in the end, more than any other genre, we really need to think about the long term of these games. You know, what is the progression really going to be like? What is the grind really going to be like? We got to talk about cash shops way sooner, way faster, way harder. And the fact that like none of these games ever mention that shit ever. They're like, oh, it's too early, you know, to talk about cash shop. Oh my God, you know, like it is never too early to talk about cash shop. Your game as a service needs to be intrinsically tied to the monetization. Don't bullcrap me and say that you haven't figured it out. And if you haven't figured it out, it's because they're doing these testers and they're trying to figure out what they can get away with versus like what would actually keep their art as pristine as possible, and as well give us like really fun cosmetics and things like that, or you know, really give us fun, I guess, expansions. You know, like how you monetize your game changes everything, and the fact that nobody ever publishes that news, nobody's really asking those questions, and they're never actually promoting it. It's just, man, that's something that we got to talk about, and that's, you know, guys, I know I play BDO, I play a lot of games. You know, I've done videos on CCG. There's some things that I don't agree with, but you can still have fun in a number of games. But still, it's just, in general, overwhelmingly, what people do is like, hey, here's a new pretty trailer. Let me just dryly tell you, you know, the bullet point mechanics of, you know, well, basically reading the back of the box. Okay, there it is. And aren't we all hyped? Aren't we all excited? Hit the thumb, boys. Thumb it up. Algorithm, let's go. And that's just boring. So yeah, you know, I think this is something that's important to talk about, because the people who are making videos on MMOs and talking about MMOs are people who play MMOs. The community, everyone is a content creator, everyone is making videos on these games, talking about it and sharing it with their guilds. All this stuff really actually goes into the gameplay of MMOs. So if you think that guilds don't have like their own in-house producers of content, I don't know. You haven't been in a good guild, I guess. They make guides, they make things like that. They talk about the news. And so, yeah, or they heavily rely on certain YouTubers who do specifically talk about certain MMO news. I just really wish that people looked at MMOs differently, I guess, or like with the same perspective as me. You know, like caring about the ping, like, if you look at modern competitive games, like the new League of Legends actual video, the trailer that they announced, they specifically talked about ping. They're like, hey, we have solutions for the ping issues. If you look at the trailer for that game Core Punk, which is an MMO, they specifically made that trailer to answer questions and alleviate issues that are kind of known in the genre. And that's what we need more, not just really flashy, spectacally trailers, and not people who just regurgitate the trailers and have no emotion whatsoever and say nothing at all with any sort of nuance. They just dryly relay the information. I think people need to be more critical and yeah, make assumptions and be maybe biased and just really, throw around their opinions more when it comes to this stuff, because in the end the games release and then it's we know the drill. It's like, oh well, it's not all that it promised to be. Oh, they changed some things here and there. And even if the game does release and it is everything that we wanted, like Classic WoW was. Classic WoW is a great example. And then in the terms of the long term, it didn't quite keep up the pace that it needed to, and it didn't go in a more unique direction, and it wasn't quite maybe balanced or taken care of as well as it could have been. So a lot of people are leaving the game when like old school RuneScape did do it very, very well. So there are games that are doing it good, there are games that are doing it very badly, and I just feel like the percentage of good MMOs or times where an MMO is actually fun is just so small compared to just the wealth of grind and microtransactions and boring and bullshit. And nobody's treating it like that though. Really, every time there's a new announcement with a new feature or whatever, we should all be probably incredibly toxic about it. Like every single Kickstarter MMO, we should be like, okay, how is this bullshit? Oh, you're promising this and this. How are you going to actually do this? But no, that's not the case. People are still hyped, still sugarcoating everything, and nobody's really taking the genre seriously. The developers definitely aren't taking themselves seriously. And, I just think now as YouTubers, since the whole community is self-aware that the genre is basically shit and we're being completely taken advantage over, now is the time to be vocal about what we really, really want and what we want to change. And yeah, that's going to have to start with just the everyday content creators. There's a lot of smaller, like 20,000 subscriber below, or, definitely below 100,000 subscriber channels that are, they're trying to make content, they're trying to have fun, and I get that. I do. I'm going to end the video by saying I totally get that you want to have fun and you want to, put positivity in the world and get it back, but we're not. What you're basically doing is you're just kind of advertising for a company, and you're being kind of almost a part of the problem. And that's coming from me as somebody who spams top 10s. And, I'm like, keep the hype alive, guys. And I do. When I do my first looks, I don't even do them as reviews anymore. It's just fun. I'm just trying to have fun. But we're looking at new games. We're doing these, I don't know, almost reaction style videos. They're all just entertainment. That's all it is. In the end, all of it is just entertainment or edutainment, I guess, because it's like news, entertainment, kind of, whatever the fuck, I don't know. But there's really very rarely like a real voice in any of these videos that I've ever seen from anybody. Even people are like, oh no, he says it for real. He speaks it like it is. No, I think he just happens to play the games that you're attracted to. I don't know. I really just, I haven't seen anybody that really has a fucking backbone. And anybody that I would celebrate as having a backbone, well, they do like a review of Final Fantasy XIV and they get hate on it and they remove the video. That happens a ton of times. If you want me to name drop, I'll do it. Send me a question, be like, hey, what YouTubers have done weird stuff like that, like done a review and then removed it? I'll tell you which ones, because I watch my competitors, my peers, and I do my videos in the shitty way that I do because I think it's the exact opposite of what they're doing. Everyone is doing these incredibly dry, either scripted or just frankly like boring and very safe videos, and it's like you don't really get a sense of their true opinion. They'll say pros, they'll say cons, they might sprinkle in some negatives, but it's all very mathematical and strategic. Like 1 negative to every 5 positive things, stuff like that. Make sure you say the positive first and run through the negatives real quick. Make sure the trailer footage you use is incredibly doctored and edited so it looks epic and climactic instead of showing the reality of the gameplay. A great example of this is not just YouTubers but also in trailers is they won't show the UI very often. They'll intersplice a lot of trailer footage, and they'll show very peak moments of the MMO. But as we all know, MMOs are very long-winded games, and actual gameplay, the reality of it, is even in the best games incredibly fucking boring. Let's just be real. Most MMOs, you could alt-tab while playing them. So, in the end, I don't know where I'm getting at with this. This was a true fucking rant, but I have a feeling that it's going to hit a lot of points that you guys feel. I just couldn't put it into words. I didn't even put it into words, really. But hopefully in the future, when you guys make content, you post videos, post things, honestly, I'm going to come out and say this. I think we need to be way more negative and way more toxic, which some people might say, oh, we're already toxic. I think we need more because nothing is really changing. Nothing's really growing. Nothing is really becoming what I want from it. So that's what I'm saying. yeah, if you guys are gonna play games and spend money, I just say, don't buy in early. And even if a game does release an MMO, don't just spam money and think that it's gonna go anywhere like I did with Guild Wars 2. I thought my money was going to a certain thing, and they totally switched it up. They started doing expansions and stuff when they said they would never do that. So you basically can't trust even the most beloved developers on your favorite games. You can't trust them. So don't give them your money early, and if they do have schemes where they get money early, like Kickstarters and certain MTXs, subscription fees, stuff like that, pre-order bonuses, we need to be way more toxic about this for this genre in particular. Even if a game is fun for a month, these need to be games that grow with us, like World of Warcraft used to do, like RuneScape used to do. Now still does, actually. RuneScape's pretty awesome. Old school RuneScape. But now look at RuneScape 3. You see the difference? RuneScape 3 is like modern MMOs. And old school RuneScape is how they should be. Classic WoW is kind of how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain games that we do know and certain ways to sell games that we know is good. So let's cut all the bullshit, and anything that shows otherwise, we need to fucking call it out. Stop with all the pretty pictures or whatever. Give us the real shit. You can't advertise and talk about MMOs in the same way as other games. It's not just a one and done, you just pick it up and then run kind of game. It's like a lifestyle, almost. And I just think developers are taking advantage of it, and people are riding the hype wave. Content creators are just riding the hype wave in the most uninteresting way, and just be like, hey, here's a game. Look, game. Don't you remember this game? Nostalgia. Oh, look at this new game coming out. Hype. And it's just boring, uninteresting, and there's no real emotion behind it. So, anyways, if you guys want to hear more emotive ranting and reviews and stuff like that, you can definitely subscribe. That'd be pretty cool. And I do have a Patreon so that I can actually purchase games and play them. Currently purchased Iceborne and running through that, and looking forward to some other titles as well. Let me know, guys, in the comments below what you think about whatever the fuck I just said. Much love. I'll see you in the next one.